this video, I'll explain the third poem in your MCB textbook, The Shed, written by Frank Flynn. Let's read the poem. Stanza 1 goes like this. There's a shed at the bottom of a garden with a spider's web hanging across the door. The hinges are rusty and creak in the wind. When I'm in bed, I lie and I listen. I'll open that door one day. Stanza 2 goes like this. There's a dusty old window round at the side, with 3 cracked panes of glass. I often think there is someone staring at me each time that I pass. I'll peep through that window one day. Stanza number 3 goes like this. My brother says there is a ghost in the shed who hides under the rotten floorboards, and if I ever dare to set foot inside, he will jump out and chop off my head. But I'll take a peek one day. The last stanza. I know that there isn't really a ghost. My brother tells lies to keep the shed for his den. There isn't anyone staring or making strange noises, and the spider has been gone from his web. Since I don't know when, I'll go into that shed one day soon, but not just yet. Now let's see the poem in detail. There is a shed at the bottom of a garden with a spider's web hanging across the door. In these lines, the poet says that there is a shed at the bottom of his garden. The poet is describing a shed that is seen at the bottom of his garden. And hardly anybody goes inside this shed. And that is why we can see even the spider's web is hanging across the door, because nobody is entering the shed. That is why we can even feel the presence of spider's web that is across the door of this shed. The hinges are rusty and creak in the wind. When I am in bed, I lie and I listen. I'll open that door one day. We knew that hardly anybody goes inside the shed, and therefore the hinges or the door joints have become rusty and make a lot of noise whenever the wind makes them move. And when the poet is peacefully lying in the bed, he sometimes hears noises from the shed. And the poet wishes to be able to open the door of the shed someday. He badly wants to see what is there inside the shed. There is a dusty old window at the side with 3 cracked panes of glass. Now the poet discusses how he wishes to stare inside the shed. Okay. He says that, first of all, he says that the shed has a dusty old window on its side. And the specialty of this window is that there are 3 glass panes and they are broken. The 3 glass panes of the window are broken. I often think there is someone staring at me each time that I pass. I'll peep through that window one day. Now the poet says that whenever the poet passes through the shed, he gets the feelings as if someone is staring at him. And to find out, the poet wishes to peep inside the shed. He just wanted to find out, is there anybody staring at him? So that he will, in order for that, he will be just peeping inside the shed. My brother says there is a ghost in the shed who hides under the rotten floorboards. In this stanza, the poet discusses how his brother warns him about the ghost inside the shed. The poet's brother talks about the presence of the ghost inside the shed and warns the poet that if he went inside the shed, something will happen to him. And where is the ghost hiding? The ghost is hiding under the rotten floorboards. And if I ever dare to set foot inside, he will jump out and chop off my head. But I will take a peek one day. Now the poet is saying what will happen to him if he just set foot inside the shed. What will happen? The ghost would chop off his head. However, this does not much frighten the poet, and he still wished to set food inside one day or the other day. He still wished to get inside the shed and see for himself what is there inside the shed. I know that there isn't really a ghost. My brother tells lies to keep the shed for his den. There isn't anyone staring or making strange noises, and the spider has been gone from this web. Since I don't know when, I'll go into that shed one day soon, but not just yet. In this stanza, we can understand that the poet seems to have grown enough to understand the truth. The poet is able to overcome his fears, and he is able to understand that there is no ghost inside the shed. And he understands that there is actually nobody inside the shed who stares at him or makes strange noises. And even the spider, too, is no longer there. And his brother had been telling him lies just because he wanted to retain the shed for his own self. And therefore, very soon the poet would be able to set in food inside the shed. However, he says that this can't happen immediately. Soon he will be going, but not yet decided on which day he will be just getting inside the shed. Now let's have a quick summary of this poem. There is a shed at the bottom of the poet's garden, and the poet wishes to visit it one day. And there is a spider's web on the door of the shed, and its hinges are rusty and creak when the wind blows. The poet often thinks about it while lying in his bed. On one side of the shed there is a dusty window, and three of its window panes are broken. The poet feels as if someone stares at him through the window, and whenever the poet visits a shed, he would like to find out who lives there. But the poet's brother informs him that a ghost lives inside the shed, and if the poet dares to enter the shed, the ghost would chop off his head. And despite these warnings, the poet wishes to visit the shed and peep inside. The poet believes that his brother tells him an imaginative story about the ghost just because he wants to keep the shed for himself. The poet no longer feels anyone staring at him or hears any strange noises coming from the shed. And the spider, too, is no longer there. So very soon he would go inside the shed. This is all about the poem, and I hope you understood the explanation completely. And if you have any doubt, please do clarify at the earliest. Thank you for watching.